Good
I'll,
evening.
I'll put the spotlight on you, and you do have uh, co-hosting capabilities, so you can um, share your screen.
Oh, share my screen. Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't practice this, Jesse.
no, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay. Uh, oh, are we ready?
Yep, take it away.
Good evening, guys. My name is Aisha, and I am going to share my screen um, to share my project. Let's see. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Not yet.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Oh, sorry, I had to press share. Can you see my screen now?
I can. We yes,
Okay. Can you still see my screen?
yes.
Okay. Um, so we were instructed to pick an herb and talk about the preparation of that herb. And over the weekend, I did some grocery shopping and I was in the store and this young lady was like coughing up a fit. And I heard another young lady say, "Oh my, I should get some of these lemon ginger pineapple immune drinks because flu season isn't over yet, obviously." And I thought, that sounds pretty tasty. I got to the cash register and it was, I don't know, like $5 for this one shot of lemon ginger pineapple cold pressed juice. And I thought I should use one of these or two of these herbs as for my decoction project. Um, because I know that I have herbs in my kitchen that could help boost my immune system during this obviously flu season isn't over yet. Hence my presentation on decoctions. I decided to make an immunity germ booster using ginger and elderberry. First, I just want to tell you a little bit about these herbs. Again, I was thinking about boosting my immune system. And one of Jesse's famous Chinese lines is increasing circulation by removing the congestion and inflammation will heal your situation. You didn't say that quite that way, but I like that.
Okay.
Ginger is an anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, it's high in antioxidants, and rich in vitamin C. It aids in digestion, which means it's a good digestion system is equals a healthy gut. So you're ridding all the bad things from your body by utilizing ginger. Combined with elderberry, which contains athanosians, which not only reduces inflammation but protects your good cells. They fight against antiviral and influenza viruses. Um, I'm sorry, they're antiviral and they fight against influenza viruses. Again, high in vitamin C, high in antioxidants. They will help to speed up your cold and flu healing process. For preparation, um, I took 1 tablespoon of dried elderberry and dried ginger, and I mixed them with 6 cups of boiling water. We're just using our imagination now because they closed the kitchen on me and they locked up my canteen, but that's okay. Let that boil for about 30 minutes. Well, bring the water to boil with the cover on and then turn the water off and let that steep in there for about 30 minutes or keep the fire on kind of low because you really want the herbs to simmer around. Allow it to rest, then separate your herbs from the liquid. Maybe squeeze into a cheesecloth. That's what I did, into a mason jar. And then you can add honey to taste. Honey is also a healer for the throat, so feel free to bring honey in. And according to the shepherd's purse, you should drink that tea mixture up to 3 times a day. And that is my presentation on the decoction.
Okay. So, so you selected, what I heard was you selected your herbs. You heard some people in the store talking about cold and flu season or whatever is not over. You saw a formula that you paid $5 for. See, people complain about the price of gas, but when we look at some of these products that are out here, they can be quite expensive as well. But anyway, but you took a couple of the products from that and decided to make something from it. That's about right?
Yes.
Okay. And it was ginger and
And
elderberry.
elderberry.
Okay.
Yes.
So it was ginger root. So did you get the
Yes, ginger root and
Mhm.
elderberry. So I had to decoct it because the root is the harder part of the plant. I know it's kind of hard to see it here.
And you can just
But
raise it
that's
up a little
why
bit more. Mhm.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And the berries are also hard.
Hmm.
So that's why I had to decoct them because these are the harder parts of the plant.
Okay. All right. Did you get them? Was they were dried when you got them? So
They
this
were
wasn't fresh. This was
dried.
like,
I bought them from my local herbalist that comes in these little dried packets. So this whole packet, I'm not selling this, but it was only $7. So I can make tons and
Mhm.
tons of immunity drink with this little packet and with this little packet.
Okay. And you say only $7?
Yeah,
Okay.
only $7 for this
Only
big
$7.
bag because I'm only going to use 1 teaspoon at a time to decoct or a tablespoon.
Okay. All right. Questions, input, Andrea. If you're speaking, we can't. You need to unmute.
Okay.
Okay. Very, I'm sorry. This is Tremaine speaking.
Okay.
Um, was somebody else about to speak?
Well, actually, we're taking questions. So Aisha just presented on her decoction, on her the formula she made, and
Yeah.
we're taking questions.
So first of all, I wanted to tell you that you did very good presenting. And I did have a question. How much of the um what did you call it? Immune.
Oh, immune booster.
Okay.
So,
How much
yeah.
would you take? How much would you recommend taking per day of that since you're only using the teaspoon? And how much does that make?
So the 6 cups that I used, after it boiled down, it was actually just a little over 4 cups, maybe closer to 5. Yeah, close to 5. And I just filled up one of my big 36-ounce mason jars. And what I planned to do during the call was to pour some in a cup. Because in that big mason jar, I can get about 4 smaller cups. So like 6 ounces or so. And yeah, because 6 and 4 is 24. and it's, yeah, about 6 to 5 ounces, 6 to 5 cups out of that big mason jar. And if I wasn't feeling well, I would drink that jar throughout the day. But we
Okay.
haven't learned about dosages yet, so I'm going to lean on Dr. Brown for that.
And I
Okay.
was going to ask you about that as well. If you had used it or gotten any relief or anything like that, if there was anything going on. Okay.
Okay, I do have a question.
Okay, Andrea.
Is it
Thank you,
possible?
Tremaine, by the way.
No problem.
Sorry, Andrea, go ahead.
Okay, that was great presentation.
Thank
I
you.
learned something. Thank you. Is it possible to drink too much of this?
Is it possible to drink too much? I think too much of anything is not a good thing. So I think everything in moderation, so long as you are just drinking a healthy amount throughout the day. Um, it's not a beverage that you want to chug. And you also want to not use it as a replacement for a water supplement throughout the day. So still use your water. You're kind of taking it as if you would take a dosage of medicine. So that's why it says like 3 times a day. It's like morning, afternoon, and evening. But I don't know. If you took too much, it could be toxic for your tummy. But I think your body would let you know. Again,
Okay,
Dr. Brown.
thank you. Good
You're not,
answer. Good answer.
you're not gonna OD on that. Okay.
Okay.
And it would be considered generally regarded as safe. Even if you took it in larger amounts, um, it's not going to disturb your gut flora or anything like that. So
Okay.
the elderberry is known for, is beneficial for virus, antiviral, antibacterial, etc., without sterilizing. So when they say, can you take too much? What are the potential negative side effects? So everything has a side effect. Even healing is a side effect. So you take it, and if you get better, or it causes expectoration or mucus to come out, that is a side effect of the of taking something or utilizing
The
something.
decoction.
But a negative side effect would be, does it cause is it causing headaches or cramping or swelling? Or is it throwing something? Is it benefiting one area but throwing something else off? And with the amounts that we're seeing here, no. So yeah, take it 3 times a day. Sometimes they'll say do it until you have the relief of symptoms. So how much you take, how long you take would be dependent on a few things. I'm going to give you a rule or so that pertains to the dosages themselves, and kind of how you determine something for a younger person or an adult person or heavier person. But you could take that pretty much as needed, kind of as a supplement. The decoction, again, in the amounts, the elderberry and the ginger, that's not going to be problematic, and it's going to be more beneficial than if you did take a, I mean, what do people take? They're getting pop and beer and this and that. And guess what? People will drink 6 packs of beer, and they don't ever say, okay, is that too much? Am I taking too much of that? So if anything, we tend to have problems with overconsumption of alcohol or something like that. But this isn't going to create a toxic situation. Okay. So it's something you could very well try. You might also mix this, have some lemon tea. Your lemon, your orange, even with the citrus and the peels, those things are high in vitamin C. So you could take it as Aisha shared, or even enhance it with a few more things. So to get, when I feel something coming on, especially in my nose and my throat, I tend to suck on lemon, straight lemon. Okay, now I'm one that can take that. Some people cringe up or something, they can't take it straight. I'll pop that in. If I've been flying, again, early stages of a cold or something, I'll take that. It can be enhanced as well, even with some cayenne. Okay, so you can almost use it, as a tonic. And again, it doesn't, actually, you're right. It doesn't replace water. So still hydrate well. What our doctors told us years ago, and told my mother years ago, if we had a cold or something, they say, get plenty of rest, flush with plenty of liquids, and if there was some problem or pain, there might be a baby aspirin or so. But a hot toddy, teas, ginger ale was the standard. Now, unfortunately, with even Detroit's famous ginger ale and some of the ginger ales, there's very little or no ginger in it. Traditionally, it was a therapeutic or a medicinal drink. Okay. And additionally, you have things like, I don't know if anybody's had horehound candy, but horehound is an herb, and they, would make that into candies. And then when you see like the Luden's cherry drops and cherry bark and those things, and the lemon drops, many of those candies came because initially they were used as medicine. And when you use it for children, you have to make it taste good. If it's bitter, if it's sour, if it's bad tasting, many times children wouldn't take it. Some adults don't even want to take something unless it tastes good, unless it's sweet, unless it's more palatable. Okay. And so for some of the noni juices and in preparation that we see that come around that are touted for their health benefits, they tend to put juices or something in there so they'll be more palatable. If you've had noni by itself, it doesn't taste that great. A lot of these traditional formulas don't taste great, so they put it in a more palatable form. Okay, so the syrups, the cough drops, and all these things, originally they came from these medicines, and eventually, because they were popular and there was some folklore and some common use of it, they remained on the market, but they took out the natural ingredients. When you had some of the orange drinks, like Fago was one, it actually had real orange in it. Doesn't have orange in it. Grape doesn't have grape in it. Cherry doesn't have, Evan in there. And that's why and stuff started to be calling red pop or whatever, orange soda. Okay. And it had, and again, so originally it came from a natural product. It had beneficial ingredients, real food and such in it, and eventually got away from that. Root beer was traditionally made from roots. And of course, you know about roots. Okay, where is that? What is that? Those are herbs. So whether we're talking about dandelion root or turmeric is a root or ginger is a root or something, they knew the medicinal benefits of the roots. Those were made into preparation. Those were delivered. Sassafras tea. They even served some of those things in bars. Okay, in other establishments, and when they had the fountain drinks, they had the medicines were in there. The pharmacies had the natural medicines as well as the patent medicines, and then eventually it became the drugs predominated, and you had fewer and fewer natural products. So if you look up the traditions of these again, the lemon, the cherry bark, the sassafras tea is the root, in these other root herbs in preparation, you'll see a history of it. If you were to look up what's called a pharmacopoeia, which is the compilation of medicines, they were originally herbs. the entire pharmacopoeia was all medicinal preparations, herbal medicinal preparations. And eventually they went from being all natural to fractionated to a point where they could patent it. And then may have an active ingredient, or a portion of that was natural, and then the rest of it was chemically derived. Okay. And so the original vaccinations were made from natural substances. In fact, homeopathy is based on giving a person a small amount of the substance that occurs in nature that would cause a symptom in a certain dose, but in a much lesser dose, it would cause the opposite effect. So if you would take something that would normally cause a person to be nauseous, and you gave them a very small amount of that, it would take the nausea away. Okay. So medicinal practices, the products and everything have just kind of developed and changed over time. Now, the fortunate thing is that there are more studies. In fact, in my sharing this evening, you'll see where I talked about the studies that have been conducted. So in one time you had folklore, and they would call these old wives' tales. Okay. And that was kind of a way of saying, it's not witchcraft or something, but that's an old wives' tale. Oh, what if you do this, that, and other? Oh, that's an old wives' tale. So they say, oh no, we've got this modern medicine, and you could take this much better than that. Oh, this is what we're doing today. And so they replaced many of the traditional remedies with the modern patented drugs that they could make money from. Because you can't patent cherries. You can't patent unless you do some genetic modification or something. But you can patent oranges and apples and grapes and this, that, and the other thing, right? In its natural state. So companies said, okay, we can't make money from that. We can't have an exclusive on that. If we do the research on it, if we formulate something, somebody else is just going to knock it off. So then they say, okay, but if we have a chemical derivation, if we have the active ingredient come from a natural substance, but we have these other things mixed in here, and we can have a patent or exclusivity on this, then we can make tons of money. Okay. Even though it creates all these other side effects. Oh, they put something on the market, and then over time, it's like, oh, okay, well, if you were taking Zentrofovir, then, and you had liver problems, kidney problems, you went blind and whatever, or caused cancer or something. Okay, then you need to call 1-800, Stein and Weinstein. Okay, because they got a class action suit. Okay, well, they may have known that way in advance when they were doing the studies. They knew that it would help a percentage of the people and it was going to harm some people, but they're going to make so much money. They're like, okay, paying lawsuits is part of the cost of doing business. Okay. So when they got into patent medicine and got away from nature, then we have all these other side effects, all these other problems that we see in the environment and in people's health. Fortunately, the pendulum is swinging the other way, where people don't trust the government as much, don't trust the pharmaceutical companies. They say big pharma, okay, they're just out for the dollar. Okay, what are you doing? Roundup. You're saying spray this stuff on on the herbs. They call it weeds, right? Okay. They don't call it the herb. They don't say, okay, that's dandelion herb, and that traditionally has been used for, oh, those are weeds. Get rid of your weeds and have nice green lawn and this. So they got you poisoning the herbs, not understanding what they are, their properties, how you use them, what they have traditionally been used for. Okay, no farmer, no person in agriculture would knowingly poison the food and then serve it to their family. Okay, that's not what they did. So they have this expression, they say, you know what our grandparents called organic food? Food. It was all organic. They may have used cow manure or something else, but they didn't use chemicals. And so now, again, because of all the problems they've had over time, and we know that things are carcinogenic, cancer causing, we know that they cause all these damages, and there have been these lawsuits, and they were selling people the tobacco, smoking cigarettes is good for you. The doctors recommend it, and all this. We're sold a bill of goods. So now people are becoming more aware. They can look something up. They can see the harmful effects there. We're getting more informed and aware. And people are going back to nature. So they are looking for natural remedies. They're looking for products that don't damage people, the environment, that are humane, that aren't even poisoning people wherever they are. Would that be in China or another country, come from another continent, how the people are treated? All these things get us into human rights and gets into a bigger conversation saying, guess what? Our nature is to be more humane. Our nature is to be better stewards of the earth. And so that's how this movement has come about. So every time that we choose a natural product over a drug, we're making a big decision. And especially when it costs more than the drug, more than our insurance would, pay for the drug. Maybe you only have to pay $3 or a few dollars or something for it because you've got good insurance. When people consciously go into a store, purchase a product, and they say, this is good for me, this is better than the alternative, they're making a decision for their body and for the environment. Because just imagine, when these chemical companies are making these formulas, where are they getting that from? Where'd the chemicals go? Okay, what's going to be cast off? They're going to use some of it, and some of it just goes where? Into the water. Okay, it disturbs the fish and the wildlife and the plankton, and it throws off the entire ecosystem, right? Okay, it goes into the air, it goes into the food, it goes in there, and a lot of the things that you see in the products that we use for our bodies, for our hair, our skin, our nails, etc., are industrial waste products. Okay, they don't have any nutritional value or benefit. So when you see aluminum and fluoride and chlorine and fluorine and so many of these other things that do not naturally occur in nature or not in the amounts that we're getting them, then those are industrial waste products. And it means that, industry produces all these things. They have something that's left over. They can't just put it in the ground like mercury. Okay, you can't just put that in the ground. You can't just toss it out somewhere. So what they do is they can take it in small amounts and use it in food as substances, as fillers and whatnot. So they can't bury it in the ground, but they can bury it in your body. And so when you see, they say, okay, on these in women, they really do y'all wrong. They really do you wrong, because especially for the cosmetics, the products that you use on your body, there is very little and sometimes no regulation in regards to what they can put in there. Okay, so you say, okay, that's, those are nice colors, and then the body care products as well as the perfumes and such, well, it smells great, but it's terrible for you. So it has endocrine disruption, and it's cancer causing. It's crosses the blood-brain barrier, causes all kinds of problems. So many of the modern problems that we're having today are as a result of how what's happened is during the evolution of the industrial revolution. Okay, and so again, it's swinging back. So when you see $300+ billion that's spent on natural products going to 400 billion and more, it means people are making different choices. All right. Okay. Questions, comments?